So today I have a different style of video. So what I'm gonna go over is the 5 books that I think everybody should read, no matter who you are. And I know I do business books, I do self-improvement books, I do just communication and mindset, but I feel like I've hit different audiences, but I really just want to give a book that will help every single person that reads it. So these are not necessarily broad, but it's gonna help you in areas that everybody needs development. And I'm doing this in no particular order, so don't rank them in that sense. Just listen to the things I say. If it interests you, go ahead, check it out because it can help you tremendously. So that said, we're gonna get started with Think and Grow Rich. And this book is about the mindset that the most successful people who have ever lived have had. And it's a crash course in the way to think positively, the way to think about your life, the way to think about how you want to achieve your goals and then go about achieving them. And it does a really good job of framing the power of your mind, and it does a really good job of putting it in a way that every single person can take something away. Like, if you believe in the law of attraction, you're gonna love this book. If you don't believe in the law of attraction, you're gonna love this book. Like, it does such a good job of hitting it from all angles that no matter who you are, you will take something from this book. So, on to the next book. The next book is Mastery. What this book is great about is it basically gives you the blueprint to, become a master. I know it's corny to say, but think of that phrase like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And this is the pursuit of getting to that. This is the pursuit of getting to whatever passion you have, basically making that your career, making that your life, turning your passion into what sustains you, what brings food to the table, what your family relies on. And it's a crash course of like great people throughout history, like Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla, the Wright brothers. Like, it talks about great examples of people throughout history who just, they didn't necessarily have the credentials in school, but they're like, you know what? I'm just going to put myself out there. I'm just going to become an expert. I'm just going to become a master. I'm going to put in so much work that the universe can't deny me anymore. And it's a book that if you follow the blueprint of, like, you will be able to live whatever life you want. You will be able to chart your own course. And that's what I want for people. I want people to be able to wake up, face the day, and know that they're going to do something that they love each day. And that's something that I feel like everyone can agree with. And if you want to learn more, like, obviously just check out this book. So, the next book, The Way of the Superior Man. And this book is, honestly, I think this book should be required for every single man. Like, this book puts things into terms that you've never been able to explain. Like, it frames the difference between the male perspective and the female perspective and how to balance that in a relationship and how to balance it in a healthy way and how to basically go about combating your spouse's just anger or rage. Like, it's really the most healthy relationship book I've ever read, and it's not like the red pill or blue pill stuff. It's completely in its own category, and it's so righteous, and it's a book that approaches relationships from a spiritual aspect and how to fulfill your partner spiritually and have her fulfill you spiritually. And honestly, this book, it's 200 pages long. Every single page has something that in your soul is correct, but you've never been able to express it. You've never been able to put it into words. And when you read it, it just confirms it, and you're like, man, where was this information my entire life? Like, had I had this so much sooner, I could have just saved myself so much heartbreak. I could have saved myself so much pain and agony. And, all of these breakups were just because I didn't understand how relationships work from this perspective. And, like, there's all these people giving advice online about relationships. Like, I'm not one of them because I'm not good at it, but this book has gone a long way to helping me just understand what it is to be a man in a relationship, what it is to, share yourself with somebody else and want the best for them and want the best for yourself. And I honestly think, like, all of the guys that are struggling right now, like, it can't hurt you to pick up this book. It's like $10, and it will go a long way to fixing some of the trauma, fixing some of the heartaches and all of the, just issues you're having with your relationship, with your love life. And I honestly can't suggest it more. On to the next one. The next one is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And this book is so good because it's a psychology textbook and it's a communication textbook all in one. And it brings out such simple points that we often neglect, but this book is all about the simple things that go a long way to changing your life. And the author puts it like, I think it's in the first chapter, he goes, Andrew Carnegie wasn't the smartest person to ever live. Henry Ford wasn't the smartest person to ever live. The reason that they're remembered for being so rich, so innovative, is because they dealt with people better than anybody else. And you're going to have to deal with people to some level to get any sort of success. No matter who you are, like, you're going to have to deal with people. And if you don't deal with people in a good way, if you don't deal with them in a healthy way, like, you're going to start having enemies. You're going to start having people trying to hold you back. And it's all about getting what you want and the other person getting what they want as well, so that we can foster a sense of community, so that we can have better relationships, so that the person is more likely to come back to us the next time they need something. And this book is great if you want to go into sales, great if you struggle with communication. It honestly can help anybody who hasn't read it, no matter what level of communication skills you have, because nobody teaches you these basics. Nobody teaches you, like, oh, if you say somebody's name, that is their favorite word in the English dictionary, because think that that word is associated with them. That word gives them a sense of pride. That word gives them a sense of happiness because you know their name. And it's little things like this that go a long way to setting you apart from the others around you. And especially in this social media age where so many of us are sunk back into our phones, so many of us are sunk back into video games or social media or whatever it is that we're doing, and we don't have that human-to-human connection, and those skills are really deformed in most of us. Like, I see most of my generation, like, I'm bad at it in some regards too, but a lot of people my age can't look you in the eye when they have a conversation. A lot of people my age, they're afraid to, talk to somebody of the opposite gender, and it's just like, why are we not focusing on this? Why are we focusing on, you gotta just hustle, you gotta do this, you gotta do that? Like, the communication skills will go such a far way, and if you don't have them right now, you should read this book. If you already have them, you should read this book too to improve. And honestly, if you read one book and one book only, it would be this one, because you could study this book for years upon years upon years, become a master at communication, and become a master at life. So I hope this inspires you to read this book, because I genuinely think that every single person on the face of the earth should read this book, because this world would be such a better place. On to the last book. I didn't do this on purpose, but this will always be my favorite book. This will always be a book that in my heart was the catalyst for my entire life of change. Like, when I read this book, when I picked it up, I was in a very dark place in my life. I didn't really feel like I wanted to keep going. I just wanted to give up. I wasn't happy with the results I was getting. I wasn't happy with my life. I wasn't happy in general. And what this book does is it breaks down any sort of excuse that you have, because David Goggins quite possibly may have had one of the hardest childhoods, and he may have had one of the hardest young adulthoods, but he flipped a switch one day and said, I'm not going to be that loser. I'm not going to be that statistic. I'm not going to be that person that makes excuses their entire life, that says, I'm not this because of my father. I'm not this because I was abused. I'm not this because I have a speech impediment and I have learning disabilities, and school just wasn't for me, so I'll never make anything of myself. And he really just dispelled all these excuses and said, I'm just going to try. I'm just going to go out there and give it my all. And you can do the same thing too. And this book will inspire you to go so much further than you thought was possible. And I truly think that if you read this book, like, you will no longer believe that the human soul has limits, because we are all just scratching the surface with our potential. We are all just, mailing it in. We're just phoning it in. We're not doing everything that we should be each day to get to our goals, and then we'll sit back and say, well, I'm not this because of this. I'm not this because of that. This person didn't like me and they didn't give me this opportunity, so this. And it's like, are you doing everything that you possibly can to become undeniable? Are you doing everything that you possibly can to ensure that people that don't like you can't hold you back. Like Michael Jordan wasn't that pop. Well, some of his teammates liked him, some of his teammates didn't. And it's like Michael Jordan was just so good that he was undeniable. Like no matter who you were, you respected him, even if you didn't like him. And that's how you have to be. You have to just not care. You just have to be so excellent. You just have to be so on top of things that no matter what people think about you, they cannot deny your work ethic. They cannot deny your skill. They cannot deny your value as a human being. And it's all about picking yourself up every single time you fail, learning from that, and continuing to move forward, continuing to grow. Every single day, finding just what you can squeeze out of life. And I genuinely think that if I'd never picked up this book, I would not be on camera in front of you today. I genuinely think that if I didn't pick up this book, I'd be half the person I am today. And I really can't urge you to read this book more because honestly, this is the only reason I'm here today. This is the only reason that I'm sitting in front of camera and I have a passion for improvement. I know that if I put my head down and I focus, I can make something of myself. And that's something that less and less of us understand today. Less and less of us have that perspective. And if you can get that perspective in your life, you're going to set yourself apart from your peers. With that said, I'll leave a link in the description to all these books. Go ahead, check them out if any of them interested you. And yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if I missed any. And you know, if you want to hear some more suggestions, if you want to hear more of my thoughts on these books, stick around on the channel, like the video, subscribe. Thank you so much for making it this far. I'll catch you in the next one.